I hiked for hours through wildfire smoke to pick berries for one pie, and my coworker still thought it belonged to his 9 kids. I've worked in the same office for 6 years. I'm not a baker, I burn toast, honestly, but I have exactly one recipe I'm known for, a completely homemade huckleberry pie. If you're not familiar, huckleberries only grow wild in high mountain areas of the Pacific Northwest. Nobody farms them. You can't buy them at the store. If you want them, you hike for them, and if you don't want to hike, you pay sometimes hundreds of dollars a pint. Every summer, my family and I spend our weekends picking, and every summer I come home and turn what we've gathered into pies. I always bring one into the office, and there's usually enough left over to keep in the breakroom fridge, so people can grab a slice through the week. That's how it's always worked. Someone brings in cookies, they last 2 or 3 days, and everyone gets a fair shot at a treat. It's a nice little office tradition until about 4 months ago. That's when Greg started. I don't know exactly when I noticed the pattern, only that I noticed it. Baked goods that used to last most of a week started vanishing in a single afternoon. A dozen muffins someone brought in on a Monday would be gone by Monday lunch. At first, I figured people were just having a good week. Then I found out the truth. Greg has 9 kids, and somewhere along the way he decided that anything left in that break room was his to take home to them. I don't even fully blame him for wanting to feed his family. 9 kids is a lot of mouths. But these were office treats, shared, communal, meant for the people who work there, and he was clearing them out like it was a standing invitation nobody remembered extending to him. For months, it didn't touch me directly, because Greg didn't know about the pies. Then this year happened. It's been a brutal fire season out west, right where we usually pick, and on top of that we had an unusually warm winter that hurt the berry yield even more. My family and I went out 3 separate weekends and came back nearly empty-handed each time. When I finally tallied up what we'd managed to gather, there was only enough for 1 pie. Not 2. 1. I made it anyway, because it's tradition, and because I wasn't about to let a bad season take that away from the office too. But this time, when I carried it in, I already knew whatever was left at the end of the day was coming home with me. By mid-afternoon, the pie was down to 2 slices. I watched the clock, and about 20 minutes before Greg usually clocks out, I walked into the break room and started boxing up what was left. He walked in right as I was closing the lid. "Oh, did someone want your leftovers?" he asked, already reaching for a container of his own. "Oh no," I said. "I wanted the last bit for myself and my husband." His face changed instantly. "My kids have never had huckleberries. I wanted to give them that experience." I looked at him for a second, thinking about the 4 months of vanished cookies, the muffins, the bagels, the experiences that had quietly become his family's grocery budget. "Well," I said, "maybe next year you guys can pick them as a family." Then I picked up my box and walked out. I heard about it the next day from a coworker, who told me it was rude of me to take that experience away from his kids. Greg's been noticeably cold to me ever since. And look, I get it, from a certain angle. 9 kids, a rough year, 2 slices of pie that would have barely been a bite each split 9 ways. But I hiked for hours in smoke-choked mountains for those berries. I stood in my kitchen and made that crust from scratch, twice, because the first one tore. I didn't do any of that so a man I barely know could hand out samples of my summer to kids I've never met. Maybe I'm bitter.